What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Good Success Quick Tips. I am Josh Culler, and back with me again, I've got Tom Olson with us, who's done several quick tip videos, some awesome ones, and provided some awesome value. And today he's going to do one on the 7 levels of leadership. Now, we've actually had a podcast and then also a blog that we're recording this quick tip today, and I actually published a blog today for the 7 levels of leadership. Is awesome stuff. You guys got to go check it out, especially if you're any kind of a business owner, a manager. Just think of yourself as a leader. This is really going to put you in your place if you are self-proclaimed, in other words. So today, so today he's going to talk about that, and this is a topic I absolutely love. So I'm excited to hear what you have today.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh, and thanks for joining us again today. So what does it mean to be a leader? And I've done a lot of study on this subject since I was 15, 16, 20 years old, maybe in that range. I started studying on leadership and trying to learn what does it mean to be a leader, because at the end of the day, there's one word that really encompasses leadership, and that's influence. So as a leader, you have to be going somewhere and you have to have people follow you, right? In order to be a leader, you're not leading anybody unless people are following. You know, there's that statement, if you're leading and people aren't following, you're not really leading, you're just going for a walk. And so I didn't want to just be going for a walk in life, and I didn't want to have that for me, and I've just done a lot of study on what does it mean to be a leader. And there's a lot of different things that come to mind, you know, like for instance, leaders lead, you know, leaders are readers. Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. Leaders give the credit. Leaders take the blame. Leaders are different. So in order to be different, you have to think differently, you know, so leaders have to do different things. In order to do different things, you have to think differently. Leaders look forward. They don't look at their past and say, look at what all I did in the past. They look in the forward and say, this is what I'm going to do in the future. Leaders have a vision. Leaders cast that vision, and leaders get people to follow them. You know, leaders go first, but leaders many times have to eat last. So they go out, they slay the dragon, or they slay the elephant, and they let everybody else eat first, and then they are the ones that end up getting to eat last. Leaders are ready. Leaders are fearful. Yes, they have fear, but they don't let fear stop them. So there's a lot of different characteristics about a leader, but I think one of the things that I've studied that I thought was a real good help to me is to understand that there's different levels of leadership. So a lot of the books. So I'm just going to kind of give you a list of the books that I've read and the different people that I've followed to get to know what I know about leadership. And I'm not by any means trying to say that I'm an expert on leadership. I don't want to cast that out to everybody. But obviously, first and foremost, the Bible has a ton of stuff about how to learn how to be a great leader. There's a book called Leaders Eat Last. Servant Leadership. It's Mentor Leadership by Tony Dungy. There's an awesome newer book called Extreme Ownership that I love. Wooden on Leadership. John Wooden has a great, awesome book. He even has a triangle that talks about, you know, his triangle of success, and it's all in leadership. A really excellent book. I'd like to even do a quick tips on this. Is just on Lincoln on leadership. That was really amazing. If you think about one of the greatest presidents that we've ever had in our country, for sure would be Lincoln. But one of the people I probably studied the most when it comes to leadership is John Maxwell. John Maxwell's got 20 plus books on leadership, and I know I've read at least 15 of them. But really, he kind of talks about the 5 levels of leadership, and I've kind of dwarfed that into 7, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. So I think if you know that there are these 7 levels of leadership, and you know how to navigate through them, and you know where you're at with different people at different times, you can navigate to the next step and get to that next step of leadership, which will give you that next step of influence and be able to end up not just influencing people, but influence people to influence people, which you really want to influence people to influence people to influence people, right? At the end, that's what we want. So if leadership is all about influence, you have to understand that the very first level of leadership is the position level. So a lot of times people, they get a position of leadership, they get promoted at a job, and they become a manager or whatever the case is, and they think they become a leader, but you're not really a leader just because you have a level of leadership. I don't care if you are a supervisor all the way up to the owner of a company. If you're not leading, and if you're not casting the vision, if you're not taking blame and giving credit, if you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do, people aren't going to follow you. Remember, you can teach what you know, but you're going to reproduce who you are. And that, I mean, that's a core statement, a key statement to me. But I think that first level is level of position. That just means you have the position. It doesn't mean that anybody's following you. The next level is the level of permission. So you have to get kind of permission from people before they're going to follow you. You have to kind of ask the questions. You got to ask what it is that they want, what would make them feel successful, what it is that you can help them with. And once you help those people, later on, then they actually believe in you, and they want to latch on to you, and they want to be who you are, and they want to follow you, really, and you're going to have influence on them. So the permission level number 2, this is where you ask, you listen, you learn, you observe, and you try to figure out what it is that my followers might need from me. The next level number 3, is the level of serving. So this is kind of where it comes between being selfish and unselfish. You start crossing over that line, and you're never going to be a great leader unless you care about the people that are following you. You know, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, and I promise you that statement rings true day in and day out in your life. So the level number 3 is level of servitude, or level of serving your followers. If you've asked and you've listened and you observed and you've figured out how to help the people that are following you, and then you help them, you serve them, and you help them, and you start equipping them and finding the right tools for the people that are in your sphere of influence. The next level is level of production. So in leadership, you start thinking, oh, I've served them. Now they're starting to serve back. That now this is starting to work. And now we're starting to see this circle come around, and I've started to serve, and now I've become productive. I've become productive as a leader. So now I'm equipping well. I'm teaching people how to do things, and as a leader, I'm becoming productive. And this is when you become a value to your followers. This is when you become a value to your family. This is when you become a value to your organization, is being in that level of production. And the next level is the level number 5. This level is where you start creating momentum. And really, a great leader, as soon as they start anything in a business or in a family, if you start something new, the very first thing you ought to think of is, how can I get to momentum as fast as possible? How do I make this? And people use different words like scaling. Is this a scalable process? They might say, is this a scalable thing that we're going to do? But you're never going to get there if you don't start thinking, how can I create momentum? So momentum, the best way to talk about momentum I guess the best way I can think about talking about momentum is to think about a train, a locomotive going down a railroad track 60 miles an hour. It can just pounce right through a 6-foot reinforced concrete wall, and it's just going to keep moving. It might feel a jolt, but it's just going to keep moving. It can go right through it, and you think to yourself, how does that happen? It happens because it has momentum. However, the exact same train will just be stopped and won't be able to move. It doesn't matter if you put engine or force to it if it's just got a steel bar sitting in front of it. So if you think about that in momentum, a lot of times people think that their problem is their problem, but their problem really isn't their problem. Most problems will be fixed if they just had momentum. And I see that in our business. A lot of times we just have momentum, things are working, we're putting in an automatic 1,000+ offers every single week, and things just happen. We get houses automatically. So, I mean, the key to think about with momentum is in today's world is automation. What can I automate in my business? What can I automate in my relationships? What things happen automatically, and how do I get it to that point as fast as possible? Once you have momentum, then level number 6, and a lot of times I think people miss the boat when it comes to being a leader because they want to start at level 6, and they haven't realized you got to go back to number 1. If you're not in that position, doesn't matter. You have to do these in order. You have to have the position. You have to ask the questions. You've got to get permission to lead. Then you have to serve, and then you have to be productive for them. You have to, whatever you serve them in, it has to work. If it doesn't work, if you just start serving people and just start doing things for people, I think of customers. Like if you sell a customer a product and it doesn't work, guess what? You ain't gonna get momentum. They're not coming back. So once you've created those things in your life or in your business or in your wherever you're leading in life, once you've created those things and you've got momentum, then start the reproduction stage. So a lot of times, like I said, people want to go right to level number 6 and they just want to start reproducing, but they haven't figured out that they haven't done it themselves first. And once you do it yourself, then you can somebody else can watch you do it, and then you can do it together, and then you can watch them do it, and then they can do it on themselves. And you know what? I don't want to train a leader, and I don't ever want to be a part of an organization or a family or anything that unless that leader's willing to go to that next step, and that is for that leader to train another leader. So that's kind of the whole level of reproduction. And again, like, please understand that you will not reproduce what you know or what you want. You will reproduce who you are. And if you aren't what you say you want your followers to be, they will not follow. Eventually, you will hit a roadblock. You will hit a ceiling. So, reproduce other people. This is when you not only have figured out what your core genius is. Successful people put themselves in their core genius. And they know exactly what they're good at, and they've elevated and delegated everything else to other people. However, successful leaders put other people in their core genius, and they're focused on trying to put other people on the right seat, on the right bus and on the right seat. And so just as a leader, you have to be very mindful. It's not just you. You're not just focused on making sure that you're in your core genius and you get rid of the stuff that you're not really that good at, but you got to help other people do the same thing, and you have to properly equip them and properly put them in a place where they can succeed. And a lot of people they just hire because they have to hire. Don't hire just because you have to hire. Hire because that person is going to be able to succeed in your business. One of the first questions I ask anybody that comes and works for me is, where do you want to be in 10 years? What can I do to help you get there? And if you're not asking that question in your business, I encourage you to do so. So that level of reproduction is very complicated, because this is when things don't start turning into just adding. You're not adding people to your business, you're multiplying, because remember, you want to be able to hire people that already know how to hire people. So this is when that addition turns into multiplication. And then the last level is a level of the peak. This is the peak level. This is a level of respect, really. So once you've gotten to the point where you have had the position, you've led people because you've listened, you've asked questions, you've gotten permission to lead, you've served, whatever you did to serve that customer or that relationship or that family member has worked. So you've got integrity in that, you've become productive and a value add to them, and then you've created momentum with it. You've continued to do it over and over again. You reproduce, and this peak level is a level of, like I said, it's just respect. It's when you've helped people who have not just helped people, but they've helped people who have helped people. And people just know who you are because you've done it for so long, and you are in that position of that peak leader where people just come to you. At this point, it's not necessarily about who you know, it's about who knows you. And those are the 7 levels of leadership. And the one thing I'll just want to add to follow up with all this is, you may be asking yourself, just like I did when I first did this study myself, where am I at, as a leader? A lot of times we think to ourselves, man, I think I'm a good leader, but we really think, so you go through all the people in your organization, go through all your family members and anybody else that you think you might be a leader to, and ask yourself, am I a level 1 leader or level 2 or level 3 or level 4? Like, where am I at with every single person? And what you're going to find out is that you're at a different level with each person. And to know that you're at a different level with each person, it'll help you navigate to the next level. And I just encourage you to write that all down and write the people that follow you and write it down on a list and rank yourself. Where are you at? Are you serving? Have you asked permission to be able to lead? Do you really care about the people that follow you? Do you really care about their success? Are you equipping them properly? Have you created momentum in this relationship? And are you training other people to train other people to train other people? And you're really multiplying. And you're focused on, at the end of the day, the one word that wraps up leadership and that's influence. And I hope that helps you today. Hope you guys have a good, success day.
Great, and that also we do, like I said at the beginning of the video, we do have a podcast that goes into full detail about this. It's about a 30-minute podcast, and then we also have a blog that's out there. I'll link both of those below. But great stuff, Tom. Thank you for sharing that with us, and I'm sure that
awesome.
Gave everybody value that's watching. If it did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube or Facebook, however you're watching this video. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.